The agenda for the new government, it will be a pity if after all of what's happened and which him, the winner, Mr. President, referred to as sad reminders of the events of 1966. If after all of that, he does not call a meeting as urgently as he can muster for us to recommit, to reconstitute Nigeria, he will find a situation where those who are choking in Nigeria will take their portion out of the failed British experiment that you call Nigeria. The union has collapsed. This house has fallen. That is what we are saying. And if we do not work it out together, what will happen is that those who are not happy here will take steps to recover their portions from Nigeria. As long
now,
as
you're sounding
as
like...
long as it is this fraud,
okay,
because this document was made by Abdul Salami Abubakar in 1999. He narrated the story of how he came about it, step by step. It's printed inside the document. And he now comes inside here to lie that we, the people, having firmly and solemnly resolved to live in unity as one indivisible country, do hereby make and give unto ourselves the following constitution. To that extent, this document is a forgery. There's no other definition I know in law of forgery. And therefore, a fraud to say that we, because what that we, the people there, means is that we have agreed to live in this 36-state formation. I did not agree with that with anybody. That we have agreed to be 704 local government areas that will be sharing revenue, from a basket they contribute to almost nothing to. We did not agree that we give the officials immunity. We did not agree that the president and the 36 governors will have spare key to the treasury. Go and check the appropriation provisions. We did not agree. We couldn't have agreed that the social contract element of the Constitution should be subverted the way it is subverted by Section 6, Subsection 6C here. Let me break it down. Under that section, the whole of Chapter 2 of this Constitution creates to tell you how poverty is climbing the hill of Nigeria. The whole of Chapter 2 gives all of the benefits that should go to the citizen, under the social contract scheme. But there's a clause in Section 6, Subsection 6C, in this same document that says that nobody can ask whether it's done or not done, meaning that you cannot question whether those things are done, meaning that those rights are cancelled. Further meaning that those in authority do not owe the citizens any obligation for school or hospital or any welfare at all. Let me just land. Okay. We're saying that we, the people, could not have made a constitution that excludes responsibility in favor of the citizens in the constitution. We, the people, couldn't have given the spare key of the treasury to the executive, the heads of the executive branch. And we, the people, couldn't have given all of those 37 men and their deputies absolute immunity. So since they don't owe us any obligation and they don't, they have the treasury at their disposal, don't tell me that you saw anybody with any. The EFCC, unfortunately, in the talk of corruption that is going all over the place, they do not understand that corruption is official. It is a far bigger problem than officials being corrupt. Nigeria has become a criminal enterprise to the extent that it is this forged document that has become our constitution. Don't talk about it.
So why is that how you put it, that corruption is official? It means that
yes,
it has been
corruption is created and protected by your constitution.
Now, if you are on the one hand asking for an amendment of the constitution, and
not amendment,
okay,
not amendment. Let me just make that. Let me just clear that point, because there's a lot of confusion out there, especially amongst the lawyers in the land who should have been in the forefront of telling the rest of the people why we say the National Assembly has no business with the changes we are talking about. It's not amendment. We are saying that amendment is like this document is is in the position of the memo and articles of a company, whereby the peoples that should have been different countries are the shareholders. The Yoruba could be a country of 45 million people. The Igbo flank can be a country of 50 million people. Anybody else?
So are you calling for a division of the country?
No, we're saying you saw last week or so, Nadeko came out saying that the choices before Nigeria today is either we go back to what we agreed to do originally, that is what they call Aburi, or we go Araba. Araba is to your tent, O Israel. If anybody is obdurate enough to think that this document will be basis of Nigeria for another 4 years or 8 years, that person must be deluded. Because we cannot be united by fraud. We cannot be united by forgery. We cannot be united by corruption.
Now, you do not want an amendment to the Constitution, and you don't also believe that Nigeria should stay together as an indivisible entity. What exactly do you want? Does your group, the Change Nigeria, want?
What we are saying is that Nigeria should be a lot better than it is. The reason why it's not working is that the managers of the enterprise had removed the memo and article that provided for the owners of the enterprise some benefit, and surreptitiously supplanted it with their own memo and article. That was what happened in 1966 when they jettisoned the constitutions that created.
So is it also possible that your group could also be sponsoring some of this violence so that there will be a cause, they will make a cause for you, so that we have to go back?
If not for what we are doing,
yes,
the violence could have been much more widespread. By now, there wouldn't be any.
But when there is a violence, then it gives bite to your call for the Sovereign National Conference.
By the time we convened PRONACO in 2005, people were already carrying arms all over the place. But we took the trouble to go to plead with them and persuade them. You saw how Asari Dokubo came. You saw how Wazirike came. All of those who were carrying arms at the time. We persuaded them to keep the arms and come for a discussion with the rest of the people. If they reject their demand for reversion to true federalism, for reversion to those constitutions that were constitutional arrangements that were toppled since 1966, if they reject it, then they could go do whatever else.
Now,
we were lucky that conference yielded a result that was satisfactory to them.
Okay.
They came along with us to court where we wanted to afford the government of the day the opportunity to do like what South Africa did when the apartheid constitution was rejected, so that peacefully we can walk our way from where we are now. We are not anarchists. Even in the case, I filed that case, even in the case we filed in court, we didn't say they should throw away the constitution because anarchy will come. We say court asked them to go to do a process by which we now sit down and write our constitution. The government in place remains a transitional the constitution can remain for transitional purposes. The government in place will remain just like the government of de Klerk remained in South Africa for the period it took them to go from apartheid constitution, because what we have here is worse than apartheid constitution. In South Africa, the whites were at least 20% of the population. What we have in place today, less than 1% of the country's population is holding on to more than 90% of the assets of the country. And you cannot break into that circle because they have shut you out by all the things. Look at the people who made all the decrees. Who created the 36 states? It was between Gowon, Murtala Mohammed, Abacha, and Babangida. Where were the rest of the people officers from the rest of the country? If not that it was that 1960 battle script that has been carried out. Who created all the council areas? Who created the 68-item exclusive list on this constitution that make it impossible for a state like Lagos State to generate electricity, to do their railway, to handle their ports, to secure the lives of the people? Somebody will sit in Abuja and say it's IG, Inspector General of Police, for a territory like Nigeria. How does he know who steals goat in Mushi? It doesn't work like that. It will never work. So whatever anybody is saying they want to do about infrastructure is going to fail, because those who should be in charge of those things are not in charge of it.
Now let's talk about the Lower Niger Congress.
Yes.
What is it all about? You are the secretary of the Lower Niger Congress. What is it all about?
The Lower Niger Congress, we've all, on a pan-Nigeria basis, been calling for sovereign national conference for more than 30 years. In fact, since after the failure of Aburi. Remember, I don't know how old you are. In 1974, when Gowon was about to work out a transition, they drew up a constitution that was based exclusively on the Aburi discussions.
Aburi Accord.
Yes. Somebody within the system found a way to frustrate it and chucked him out of government, Murtala Mohammed, and then managed to put in place something that led to a totally different constitutional arrangement, which they rubber stamped in 1979 as 1979 constitution. Nobody agreed on presidential system. Nobody agreed on all of retaining the states that were created, for the purposes we have all seen today. But they were imposed and retained by decree. So what we're saying is that since that time to date, people have been calling for sovereign national conference, but those who have secured themselves in the refuge camp of Abuja will not listen.
Tell us about the lower Congress, because we have the lower Niger Congress, because we have very few time, very few minutes to go.
The lower Niger Congress is a platform with which the peoples of Old Eastern region and Midwestern region, the ethnic nationalities spread there, Anang, Efik, Ibibio, Urobo, Ishekiri, Igbo, have come together to seek to federate on their own terms into a territory they call Lower Niger.
Are you calling for, are you preparing for succession or what?
No, it is in readiness. You don't build a house from the roof. The return to federalism, for those who do not know, must start with the federating units working out their draft constitutions that will then be federated at a meeting. This is in readiness for the inevitable sovereign national conference to reconstitute Nigeria. As we're doing that, I'm sure you read in the press about the Middle Belt and the Middle Belt Congress that were talking about Middle Belt Federation. Because from what happened to them in these elections, they came out to say that they are not any part of any North, as have been all these years, that they are being killed, that they are not welcome in the scheme of things. Therefore, they are going to stand up on their own to make out a constitution for the Middle Belt Federation. The Yoruba had since launched their own draft constitution. So we are at the stage where these three, at least, that believe in democracy, are working out their draft constitutions ahead of that meeting. But if that meeting is not called, I can assure you that these three will exercise their right to self-determination by whatever means they find to exercise it. Because
thank you very much.
We cannot be bound by force for all times.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tony Nnadi, for this incisive interview. My guest has been the Secretary Change Nigeria, as well as Secretary Lower Niger Congress, Mr. Tony Nnadi. This is where we say bye-bye on this episode of the program. My name is Victor Ayara.